What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Latrina, and I am back again today with another tarot spread read. Starting off, we do get the star in the very first row, coming out in the reverse. And it looks like this reading is dealing with some wish fulfillment, someone's wish fulfillment. And then we get the King of Cups coming out with the message of the haters on top of it. So it looks like, whomever was seeking and did not get any wish fulfillment in this read, it may be this King of Cups individual who is coming up and showing up as a hater. Or maybe there are some haters that prevented a King of Cups from receiving wish fulfillment. I'm assuming that that's going to go both ways. And then we do get the Narcondos card coming out, saying with the message on the other side, it says, love is not blind, it merely doesn't see. But we did get this card in the reverse. So something was seen clear. Something was very visible. And maybe it's dealing, when we're talking about these haters, that did prevent someone from receiving a wish fulfillment. It looks like there was some jealousy and there was some envy and there was some hatred even involved when we are discussing this tarot spread read today. And then we get the Milady card showing up in the reverse in that very first row. And that Milady card, it's going to be speaking of a recovery. Because when it is in the upright position, it does speak of a terminal illness or a disease. And then when you see it coming out in the reverse, that tells me that someone is trying to recover something, or someone is in recovery. It probably goes both ways. And I'm assuming that whomever is trying to recover something is probably due to some hate, some envy and some animosity and some jealousy. Haters, that's what they usually bring. That's the energy that they usually thrive in. And then when that Milady card shows up right in this first row, I'm assuming that that's speaking of something that was needed recovery, something that maybe could not be recovered, I'm assuming, because there's no wish fulfillment also. So usually the cards that surround, any card is going to give you a better understanding of what that card could mean, because it has many different meanings. This one does. But in this particular spread, it's speaking of a recovery, recovering something. And it may be dealing with someone's health. And I'm assuming not, because, wish fulfillment and health, they do go hand in hand. But usually on this world that we live upon, wish fulfillment is always going to be dealing with money. And then when you got this haters coming out, that lets me know that it's probably dealing with some kind of finance, something monetary, not someone's health. This is not probably dealing with anyone's health whenever you see the haters coming out, because an individual is not going to be upset if you are in good health and receiving wish fulfillment in that aspect of your life. But in this read, I'm assuming, and then from the previous reads also, that this wish fulfillment is directly dealing with a monetary, income, finance. That's what brings wish fulfillment in these days and ages that we are living in. And someone seen something clear about this wish fulfillment or preventing this wish fulfillment. Someone seen maybe a clear passage, a method, or a actual entrance, a way. I'm assuming these haters probably seen a way to prevent a person or you know whomever this read is talking about. And then we have this King of Cups showing up. So whomever these haters were, they saw clear a path to prevent someone from recovering something. And it may be monetary, that's like a financial recovery. There will be no wish fulfillment and there will be no recovery in this matter that these haters were able to see clear. Someone had X-ray vision where they could actually read through, the material world. Someone could see clear what they were doing, because this mentions someone being blind. It speaks of love not being blind. It just doesn't see. And so someone seen something when that comes out in the reverse. And whomever was able to see something, I'm assuming that it had something to do with these haters that were clearly able to see something. And then this does also speak of recovery when you see this Narcan dose coming out, because that Narcan dose, it actually is administered, to individuals that are actually overdosing on, I think it's fentanyl that they use that Narcan for, because they keep it around. They advise you to keep it in your medicine cabinet, in case you may be able to prevent someone's heart and breathing from respiratory system from shutting down. It will revive a person, that Narcan does. And it's actually like a recovery. When it can bring someone back to life. I've seen videos on the web where they administer this dose to someone that has OD'd, and it actually brings them back to life in some miraculous way. And so something will not be brought back to life whenever you see that Narcan coming out in the reverse, and whenever you see that something was seen clear. And it was probably seen, they seen a path to stop someone's wish fulfillment. And it may be directly dealing and, revolving around this King of Cups, wish fulfillment. And even, his attempt to recover something. They seen a path, a clear way to stop and prevent someone from recovering a matter and receiving wish fulfillment. That was seen clear. These haters were able to see this path, because we now also have the Empress showing up in the reverse on deck. And that Empress, she's full of life and fertility, and she may even be, able to create and manifest things, because she does master all the queens in the tarot deck. She masters the elements of earth, air, fire, and water. And, Earth, wind, and fire. That's the best way that this Empress has mastered all those elements. But in the reverse, that means that she hasn't mastered any of those elements at all. And maybe she pretends that she has. But these are the two characters that show up. We get the King of Cups and we get this Empress in the reverse. And then we get the Ace of Wands showing up with the message of the lawsuit on it. So that tells me that this Empress or this fake Empress, this reversed Empress, because she may have all the tools, that she needs. But, if you see her in the upright, she's got people praising and clapping for her. They're paying her homage and they're glorifying her. They're uplifting her. But in the reverse, she's lost that glory for some reason, probably because of this brand new passionate beginning that this Ace of Wands brings in to the tarot spread. And maybe that did reverse her. This lawsuit is what reversed her, her godhood or her fertility, her beauty, her wealth, and everything that this Empress produces in the reverse, which is all, the reverse aspects of that. Instead, she produced a lawsuit. She produced a brand new passionate beginning. Either she's involved in a lawsuit or either she's going to be getting sued in a lawsuit. This Empress in the reverse for whatever actions that she did embark upon, and it could be regarding a brand new passionate beginning. Because that Ace of Wands speaks of that. And then she produced, because those empresses, they produce stuff. They create things. And this is what she did create, was an arrest, front handcuff arrest. And it says, the tighter the string, the sooner it breaks. Something has broken due to some kind of tension. Tension has broken this string. The tension was too tight, and it says it's gonna break sooner once you get it too tight. A string that's wound up too tight upon this Empress, this reverse Empress, and this brand new passionate beginning that she was seeking, maybe through a lawsuit, or maybe she she may be getting sued. There's only two ways to see that. But the string could not take the pressure and the weight of the tension got too much. The tension got too much for this reversed Empress. And it probably did produce or create or harvest, front handcuffs and arrest, even up to and including a lawsuit. This was the passionate beginning that was produced by this Empress. And whomever these haters were that were able to see a path to stop someone's wish fulfillment, probably dealing with this King of Cups. They stopped his wish fulfillment, or either maybe he was it probably goes multiple different ways. It probably has many layers to these meanings, because I'm assuming that this King of Cups is showing up as a hater, or either he's surrounded by a group of haters, a group of people, or maybe friends, family. I'm not sure who these haters are posing as today, but these haters were able to see a path to stop someone's wish fulfillment, and a path to prevent someone from recovery. In recovery, of maybe their health, maybe they wanted to recover something else that was very important to them, and maybe they wanted to recover something monetary, and that speaks of Everyone probably should know the definition of monetary. It's anything dealing with money, resources, money, even properties and things like that are speaking of monetary. Because we do get this widower card coming out in the second row in the reverse. And we all know what this widower represents. It's someone being alone. But when this card shows up in reverse, it tells me that something was not done. They had a partner, at least more than one person was involved when we're speaking of these haters. It was more than one person that did embark upon these restrictions, to this wish fulfillment and this recovery. Someone that, and it may have been a couple even, because if you see this in the reverse, it could be speaking of a couple. But it's easier to get that meaning when you just see a couple coming out, because they do have that in the tarot spread, to better communicate that meaning or the definition. But in this case, I'm assuming that this just lets me know that this was done by at least more than one person. At least two people or more is how I was trying to phrase that. Two people or more, they did see a path and a clear road to preventing someone from recovering something. And this prevention and these efforts and these endeavors, it landed this individual or these one or more people, whomever these spread is referring to. At least a couple. It was at least a pair, And it could even be that this Empress worked with this King of Cups to prevent someone from recovering something, and it may be financial, maybe the two of them, that may be what that's telling me. That those two people, because right now they're the only two people that came up on the spread right now, is this Empress in the reverse and this King of Cups. They may have produced, because she's gonna produce something. She's a creator, within her own right, just because she's mastered all of the elements. She's mastered all the queens. And not saying that she beat them, but what she did was she actually can harness the energy that they bring to the table in this tarot spread. She's mastered that. She's mastered the elements of the earth. She's mastered the air, which is that communication and that mental thing. And then the water, which is emotions. And then, she's also mastered that one last element, which is the earth, the earth elements. And she's almost like a magician. That's why I say she can create things, because she has the power of the magician in her field, But what she created was front handcuffs and a lawsuit is what she produced out of her, her abilities. Her abilities is what produced these front handcuffs. And she probably didn't use them in the right, manner, because you can use your powers in a lot of different ways, on this planet. There's so many ways you can harness these energies. And being an Empress, an emotional manipulating Empress, because she's mastered that. She's mastered those cups. And so that tells me that she's even mastered this King of Cups. She has the ability to emotionally manipulate, you know. And she even has the ability to prevent someone from attaining wish fulfillment through these tactics and this manipulation and this these arts that she has, you know, studied, or she's perfected. She's she's supposed to have the ability to create. And then we get this Nine of Wands coming out in the third row in the reverse. And whenever you see this card showing up in the upright, it does speak of spell work being done. And in the reverse, it speaks of a backfire to this actual spell work that was being done. And as I was saying, this Empress she's fertile, and she's ready to give birth to anything on the tarot table. Any of the elements, she can birth them at will. She can create passionate brand new beginnings, and I'm assuming she thought she was creating a passionate new beginning, and instead she did manifest for herself a set of handcuffs in the front side. And usually when they do handcuff someone on the front, it's because of a weight issue or a pregnancy. Someone probably can't even bring their hands to the back. Whenever you see this front handcuffs, they may be a little on the thicker side, where they have to just bring the hands straight to the front. There's no elasticity or no ability to even draw your hands back. This person didn't even have the ability to drop their hands back, whomever this Empress is showing up in the reverse. But she did produce those handcuffs, and she also produced herself a lawsuit. And she worked upon it with, a couple of people. Or even maybe she paired up with this King of Cups, like I said earlier. She bring things to life. She's able to bring things to life. And, this Ace of Wands is probably even representing some type of stick. Maybe she uses her sexual energies too to harvest anything that she wants to manifest into this world. That is one of the best ways that you can manifest in today's world. And then this is another thing that she uses. Black magic is one of her tools and her crafts that she plays around in to see her desires and to attain her wish fulfillment, and to even recover things. And when I see this recovery card coming out in the first row, maybe they were trying to recover something dealing with this lawsuit. The string became too tight on this individual, or whomever she was partnered and paired with, working with. Maybe she was working with a couple, or either she coupled up with this King of Cups, and the string got too tight. The narrative, because whenever you're going into lawsuits and things like that, 90% of everything is going to be based upon what you have said out of your mouth. And so therefore, that maybe is what actually made this string become too tight, too tense, too much resistance on this string, and it caused it to snap. When we're discussing this lawsuit, and when we're discussing someone's wish fulfillment, the efforts to prevent someone's wish fulfillment by this diabolical Empress, because she mastered the elements, but she's using her actual mastery for the dark work, which there's really nothing wrong with that, because you have to have the good with the bad in today's world. You need those both of those you need both of them energies to create. And this is a backfire to the efforts to stop someone's wish fulfillment and to prevent someone from recovery something. It was a backfire. And then we next get the judgment card, which does have the message of the court on it. This backfire brought judgment upon this duo. And something did end also, because we got the 1010 message coming out with that judgment. It got 10 tens on it, or 2 tens actually. And then we get the message of get out in the reverse. So that speaks to somebody needing to stay in. And I'm assuming that they're kind of hiding now. This backfire and this black magic has put them into hiding because they're forced to stay in. And then we get the message that says not every kind of wood can make a flute, but it did come out in the reverse. So that tells me that something was a carbon copy. Something was made from something that can be crafted from anything. Any kind of wood, you know. They had a carbon copy when it came to this black magic that they were using. It really wasn't as effective as they assumed because, you know, they used the wrong wood. For one thing, they just used, you know, some generic wood. They didn't use flute making wood to, you know, concoct these spells and whatever type of wish fulfillment. And even they were doing this black magic on this court situation that they are, you know, facing. She may be in court at this very moment due to this backfire. Judgment has been called upon that backfire. And then we get the unexpected joy card coming out. And that's what they were doing black magic to receive, unexpected joy. And if you can see in this card, this man, you know, it shows a depiction of a homestead. You know, this could be property, finances. They got a pot of gold sitting there and even like a bag of money. And so there was a significant something or another to be attained in this read that they were using this black magic to attain. Property, gold, estates, things like that. Using black magic to attain their wishes, you know, their wish fulfillment, which was not attained because you've seen that first row upon this duo. And instead they did attain restriction because we got the 10 of Wands showing up in the very fourth row, showing a depiction of a man that is actually overtaken, and he is restricted in every sense of the manner. He can't move and he can't even free himself. He's actually stuck. And I'm not sure if anyone can actually help this individual out of this 10 of Wands is opposing upon. This person, I'm not sure if anyone can help these individuals out of this. And we also get the 10 of Pentacles showing up again. Didn't we get it in the... No, I thought we did. Well, we get the 10 of Pentacles showing up with the message of the Axon body cam on it. And oh, well, that's 2 tens coming out in one row. 10 of Wands and the 10 of Pentacles. And anytime you get the 10, 10, a double 10 in a tarot spread, that does speak of something being ended. And then confirming that double 10, we get this Haymaker card coming right out with these two. And the Haymaker shows up, and it does bring, this is the Judgment brought this Haymaker. upon this Ten of Pentacles. And someone didn't win or lose in this card reading here, because that's what this card says. It never appears. And someone never wins, either wins nor loses in this definition. The double 10 puts an end to these endeavors of trying to stop someone's wish fulfillment, trying to stop someone from recovery, something. Because we also have an officer showing up in the fourth row. And I'm assuming that this officer, he probably did bring things down to an end with this 10-10. This officer came to shut things down. And he made sure that no one won nor lost. And that card is frustrating to me. And then next we get the Judgment card again in the very last row, and bringing with it 2 more 10s. And this judgment is coming from the sky. It's coming from the heavens. It's coming from the highest power that's out there, which is the Creator. God Himself has brought this judgment down upon this couple or this duo that did, try to prevent someone having wish fulfillment. And they did try to prevent someone from even recovering anything, which it could be a financial, recovering finances. Because when we speak of recovery, and then when you see these bags of money and pots of gold and even these estates and things like that this man is depicting in this, judgment came upon that situation. Twice in this tarot spread, we get the double judgment card. We get 2 judgment cards here in this spread. And it's probably because of this backfire. This spell work is what brought this judgment in. You got 2 judgment cards. Upon this spell work that did backfire. In the very last row, we get a backfire. Or no, that wasn't the last row. This was all in the 3rd row. This judgment came in the 3rd row because of some backfire because of some black magic that backfired. That's what this judgment brought upon the spread. It was a backfire. A backfire to this unexpected joy as well. Because they were using a carbon copy, trying to produce a flute, a harmonious music-making flute. And I'm assuming that it requires special wood to produce, that beautiful sound that you get from that. And then we also get the 9 of Swords coming out in the reverse with the message of muting the body camera. And that's the second body cam card that we got, because this 10 of Pentacles also brings the message of the body cam, Axon body cam. And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10s on this tarot spread here today. No, there's 4 10s. 1, 2. Oh no, it is. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10. Okay, so that's 5 or 6 10. So we do get 5 10s coming out in this spread today on this unexpected joy, which has brought something to an end. This haymaker card also brings something down to a very complete end, a finality, and it could be even a fatality. This haymaker can bring in whatever your brain can imagine. And this haymaker was brought in by way of this officer. Two nines and five tens. And then it says, a kind word warms for 3 winters. Accused, abused, and accused is this last card. The last message, it comes out in the last row, is what I was trying to say. It's a message that comes out in the last row. Someone was being accused and abused. And maybe this officer who brought in that haymaker was able to see, because I remember in this second row, something was seen about this accused and abused. Abuse and accusations, accused. Someone was accused for something, and someone was even abused in this read. And it did land this couple or this duo into handcuffs, whether they were placed in the front or the back. I'm not assuming that that is even the importance. It's just the matter is that the officer arrived and their actions caused them to be placed in handcuffs. And even, with receiving no wish fulfillment and no recovery in this matter, whatever they were trying to recover. And then we get the falseness card showing up in the very last row, but it shows up in the reverse. So that tells me that something has just gotten real in today's spread today, in today's tarot read. Something has just got real. And as they say in the urban world or the internet world, that the shit just got real. Whenever you see this falseness coming out in the reverse, that means something's real. And I'm thinking shit just got real. Because whenever you see these heavy burdens about this Ten of Pentacles, because something was captured on video, visual and video proof, maybe this video and visual proof was that someone was being abused and accused even. And I'm assuming what made something get real in this tarot spread was this officer. He made shit just got real for people on this spread. And it's probably these two people that did work together on this plan or these actions to keep someone under restriction. If they were trying to keep someone's finances under restriction, because you got the Ten of Pentacles coming out right with this restriction card. So that means that reversed Empress, she probably paired up with this King of Cups to try to prevent someone from coming out of restriction mode with their finances. And these endeavors were captured on video, webcam. I don't know how to put that into real good speech. Maybe the phone captured it. Something was captured visually, because we get that. And it was probably brought to the attention of the court about this spell work. And it's probably the attention came to the courts because it backfired. The spell work backfired, which did cause the courts to become aware and to even be able to see, because we got that man with that vision. He seen something clear. And these courts seen something clear. these haters was able to see something clear, and they thought they, could manifest, the things that they were wishing to through this black magic and stuff like that. And the string became so tight that it broke. Whatever strings and woven things that they were trying to make, it brought them a lawsuit instead. Or they did entertain the lawsuit, Either way that goes. Somebody could be actively involved in a lawsuit or in the future. And it's got them under really heavy restrictions and burdens, Probably trying to put someone else under heavy restriction and burden is what the backfire was.